Hello, viewers. It's James Kalm, your half-assed reporter, the guy on the bike. And we are back for some cultural calisthenics. We're at the bottom of Soho. We're gonna run into the RONALD FELDMAN Gallery. Yes, video. And we're gonna look at a show. Bruce Pearson's Shadow Language. Well, I missed the opening. Partial.
There's pizza for you.
Is it still in the fridge?
I saved you an entire pie.
Okay. Partially it was because it has been raining every damn afternoon and evening here for the last 2 weeks. This piece is titled Shadow Language 2017. And I would estimate that this is about 5 by 4 feet. Well, Bruce is... I'll come in and do a quick sweep of the installation. Uh-oh. Let's go in and see what they've got in the second gallery. So they've got Bruce's works on paper and these things which look like altered photographs. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Eric.
Eric?
With RONALD FELDMAN Gallery.
Okay, and you also
exhibitions department here.
help Bruce work.
I helped Bruce develop this exhibition.
Give us some inside technical tips on the work. I was asking you if this was foam core.
It's not. It's actually insulation foam.
Insulation foam.
Blue insulation foam, and he'll make a drawing, and then he uses the drawing and blows it up, and then uses a tool to cut the
Hot wire, is that what he uses?
He will actually glue the foam onto the surface and then paint around that. That's how he makes these.
Okay, and then he uses a mixture of acrylic and oil? Is that what he's painting with?
Correct, yeah. Well, this one in particular is a mixture of acrylic and oil. Some of the newer works that are less shiny are actually
Right, that's what I was...
acrylic.
The matte work, okay.
They're like flash, it's called, which is a very flat paint.
Okay.
So that's how he's getting these textures. By comparison, and things like that, which you can see the oil paint is much more reflective and
Glossy.
Glossy, exactly.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Eric. When are you going to come by my studio? Okay, we're going to take a look at this piece.
Has almost innumerable amount
Code
of
breaker.
So that's what the word.
Innumerable whites. One of the things I like about Bruce, beyond the fact that he's doing some kind of interesting conceptual approaches towards painting, is he's also got text in a lot of these things, except that he uses a process of overlaying the shapes and forms until you get to a point where you can barely decipher what he's writing. So in that way, it kind of moves from a linguistic form of text to a purely visual form of text, which I think is kind of an interesting territory to play in. Okay, this one is titled Fat Chance 2018, 48 by 36. And okay, so there is an A. I guess you could sort of suss that out, Fat Chance. Okay, this is one of the pieces that he's working with the flash, which is a very matte kind of acrylic. And this became popular, I remember back in the mid-70s when a lot of the new image painters were using flash. Made for signs, okay. fear of death, hope of heaven. One of the other things I'm sort of noticing with this latest body of work is that maybe it's because he's using the flash. It seems like Bruce is playing with a lot bolder contrasts of color. So although there are a lot of little variations here in the dark blue and maybe some in the kind of the off-white, the overall read is still just white against blue. And a lot of his previous work that I've seen was very colorful. We'll see a couple of pieces that get into what I would describe as his more colorful work. And this is 48 by 60. Okay. This is Encyclopedia 6, 2017. Vital questions, searching for motivations, far too many other places. Okay, if we just get up and look closely at some of these areas, you can see where there's a matte surface on some of these sections. Most would call them troughs or basins of color, and some of them are more glossy. Let's see if we can suss out some of the text. No. Encyclopedia 7. Well, Bruce is an interesting character. I've talked to him from time to time, and well, I won't get too specific. Let's just say that I think Bruce is a California boy from around the Bay Area, and he grew up there in the 60s. So he probably had a chance to say experience certain kinds of visual stimuli or psychic stimuli that a lot of people might not have been able to experience. And well, I copied one, or I came by and did a report on one of his shows here, but that's got to be 4 or 5 years ago at this point. This is a work on paper. Trip in Progress, 2018. This is gouache on paper, 14 1/4 by 28. I think this also goes to what I was talking about, his using larger areas of color. And also, this gets to the idea that I was talking about of conceptual painting, in that all of the kind of bas-relief parts of this are all cut out of styrofoam, the insulation, and some of the textural brushstroke parts are from the paint, but he basically would have to take, I mean, this looks like a splatter of paint, and so you would take a photograph of that, blow it up, and then graphically transfer it, and then very tediously cut it out and actually fabricate an image of the painting, and then you would go in and paint that fabricated image of the painting. So as I was saying, Bruce is he's an interesting character, And I do think that there's a kind of California psychedelic aspect to this. It's titled Loophole 2018. Acrylic and styrofoam on panel, 60 by 48. And this is very dry. Also, there's an interesting kind of a play between the positive and the negative. The classic idea in painting is thinking about figure versus ground, and theoretically the figure is in positive space, the ground is in negative space. So if you were to think about that as far as letters go on a page, the letters would be the figures, and the page would be the ground. But the way that Bruce is playing this, the figure and ground kind of switch places, move back and forth. And so I was thinking in a certain way, it's almost like the edge of the form, the lines between the forms is actually the figure. Okay. This is psychedelic. It's titled Not to Interrupt Your Beautiful Moment 2018. Oil and acrylic styrofoam on panel, 72 by 90. Here I think Bruce has gotten into a much more regular and rigorous pattern. We've basically got a little grid. That's about 1.5 inches square. And then he's laid over his text. But before he laid over the text, he kind of wobbled the edges. Okay, so this is actually fun because you've got the variations between the shiny surfaces, mostly on the surface with the, it's like a taxi cab yellow. And then some of the other recessed sections are more of the flat. Some of them aren't. Okay, well, it's getting close to closing time. I'd better keep running. This is Peace of Mind, 90 by 72. Please yourselves to obey your android, keep pressing. Okay, that's the subtitle. Again, we've got a kind of a restricted palette. Although, if you get up closely, you can see that there are very slight, subtle shading variations here. So I've got almost a off-white towards the pink end of the spectrum, off-white towards a raw umber, and yeah, the blues vary a lot as well. We'll run down a wall of works on paper. Fear of death, hope of heaven, trip to Disney. Very subtly see the text in there. Well, I was at the Frieze Art Fair over the weekend, and I was talking about an artist named Fred Tomaselli, and I said that he was probably one of the, maybe 10 or a half dozen Williamsburg artists that actually broke through. And I think Bruce is one of the other in that small category. This piece is titled Medication, 29 gouache on paper. And yeah, you can see that Bruce is quite a technician. He knows how to get his edges to work, and it's the paint to do what he wants to do.
I can't believe you noticed that.
This is
Nobody knows the
already gone. You can kind of pick out the text. Code breaker. I'm actually surprised that Bruce doesn't get into the graphics. These things would go over great as silk screens. This is $6,000. 30.5 by 22.5. Loophole. Okay, so this is interesting. Not only do we have the text, but it's almost like he's isolated the shapes or reflections of light on water. Little riffles or waves in a pool, maybe. Okay, I've never seen any of Bruce's work like this before. This is collaborative pieces of Bruce Pearson, Claudia Rankin, and Zach Garlitos. These are digital prints on aluminum edition of 5. Okay. The past is a life sentence, a blunt instrument aimed at tomorrow. $37 3/8 by 37 3/8. There's another digital print on aluminum. Anything can be made ordinary, but you know precisely what's happening when it's happening. Okay. It's titled Erase Return. Okay, so I'm looking at this and thinking this almost looks like the close-up of a Jackson Pollock painting. It took a maybe a 6-inch square of some of the splashing and dripping and blew it up and then laid in his text. Erase a turn. I especially like this this swoop here. This is 60 by 48. Soon enough. Oh, this is a little gem. 33 by 33 by 4. Let's see if we can read that. And we've got a suite of pieces that are part of the collaboration with Bruce, Anselm, and Zach. Set of 4 archival inkjets on paper, edition of 5. Diggeth beneath subject to. Okay. James Kalm reporting on Bruce Pearson, shadow language, here at the RONALD FELDMAN Gallery. You can like this, share it, recommend it to your friends. You can subscribe, and you can leave your thoughts, ideas, comments, criticisms, and reviews below. And all we ask is that you say, thank you, Kate. Thank you. Does that jig have a title?
Huh?
Does that song have a title?
Yeah, that was a jig set. Road Varna and Swallowtail into the Kestrel.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.